We've got an awesome lineup. It's our first episode of 2021, and we are going to focus on one question, as you know. What does the modern media plan look like in 2021? Next up, we welcome Andrea Zahumensky, CMO of KFC US. Andrea leads marketing, advertising, media, and consumer insights, as well as the brand's digital initiatives, driving sales overnight and brand over time. Prior to joining KFC, Andrea served many marketing roles at P&G. Welcome, Andrea.
Hi, Gary. How are you?
I'm well, Andrea. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's so good to see you. Happy New Year.
Same to you. Let's get right into it.
Yeah.
You've got such a progressive brand. Some of the things you've been, the gaming console thing you did, like there's some really cool stuff you're doing. As you walk in, you're welcome. You deserve it. As you walk into 2021, given all the conditions, trying to figure out the timing of COVID, delivery, all the dynamics you're thinking as a QSR. By the way, I'm mentioning a lot of acronyms here. VaynerX World, please get into the comments in all these communities and break down what MMM and QSR, quick service restaurant, by the way, on that one, or all the other things that I'm saying here. There's a lot of chatter in the community, so let's get some community management going and value to the community. Or anybody who's watching, look out for that and answer. Andrea, what do you think about from a media plan? Who's getting more of your money this year compared to last year? Is that TikTok? Is that Facebook? Is that television? Is that print? What's brewing? How are you thinking about creative into that? What's the 411?
Yeah. So, I think there's a few things. The first thing is just like we've had to learn to be flexible, just like everybody else, right? Yes. We had to change everything in our brand in 4 days because customers needed us to cook them buckets of comfort food, right? But from a media perspective, what we're really digging in on and what I think the real magic of this kind of modern media plan is really how we play across those channels, right? People are overwhelmed. They're flocking to places that don't have advertising, right? Or limited advertising. And we've got
AKA the incredible growth of Netflix that doesn't have commercials, right?
Exactly.
Right, because I'm sure KFC has an extremely strong TV execution, but if every day somebody's not watching Bravo or ESPN, what do you like? You know where I sit on this. We know each other a little bit. I think that's hurting big brands tremendously. I think they're throwing good money into a cannon that nobody's listening to.
Yeah, and we have to think about the attention that we do get. We have to treat it as really precious, right? And so we're trying to make sure that everything we put out there is, number one, authentic and insightful, right? Which is more important to customers than ever, right? That I know who you are, you're consistent with that, and you really get me, and you really understand me. And then with that is making sure that we're doing things that are useful, that we're creating content and experiences that people actually want to be part of, and that is actually useful in their lives, and then native across platforms. I know, Gary, you and I have talked about this, no more matching luggage, right? That has to be a thing of the past, right? And so we're trying to use each platform for what it's best at. We don't want to just go out and shout at every moment, buy KFC, buy a KFC, buy a KFC. There's some places that are really good for that, like our performance media that we're doing. But there are other places where we need to be useful and authentic in other ways. We've got to, think about how each of those elements built up, right? Each channel, each element is building up into the way KFC as a brand shows up in total in people's lives. All those touch points should not do the same thing. They have to build up to tell a holistic story. And then I know you guys just talked about this, but the power of creativity is never been more important. We got to think about how the messaging fits across each of those platforms. And the truth is, data has never been more important either, but an algorithm can't do this for us.
Yeah, the data
that does it.
The data sets you up to say something. So good, you're informed, but if you still say something that's not interesting, you're not interested.
Right. Yeah, something that's not interesting, something that's not authentic, something that's not useful, right? An example where we did this recently, you were talking about some of the things we've done, and this came together really powerfully for us, was this Lifetime movie we did in December, which was a 15-minute mini movie on Lifetime. We co-created it with Lifetime, called Recipe for Seduction. Mario Lopez was Colonel Sanders with he's an up and coming chef with a secret recipe and a dream. Super authentic to our brand. Also super authentic to Lifetime. Like if you had a chance to watch it, like we played up the Colonel and his secret recipe, but in a story that had every element, twist and turn you'd have from a Lifetime movie. But the thing that the reason this blew up and people just got so excited about it, we got billions of impressions, was that it was really useful. Like back, even now, but at the end of the year, like people just needed like good old fashioned escapism. To like be able to get away. And we were able to provide that as a brand. Now, it's not that we weren't still trying to find a way to sell fried chicken. We had an Uber Eats promotion that was dinner and a movie that once you got down the funnel and you got onto some of those platforms that are closer, where someone's maybe closer to wanting to buy that fried chicken, then we are telling them like, hey, you can go get this Uber Eats promotion and get a dinner delivered and watch the movie.
To not interrupt, but Philip Smoke says we need practical talk, not overviews of what big brands are doing. So let's play with this entrepreneur's point of view. From a tactical standpoint, there's a lot of people watching right now that might have one unit instead of the many that you have. When people think about actually getting people, to your point, to buy delivery, when you think about that lower funnel, right? Because Philip can't buy a Super Bowl spot like you can, right? But where are you seeing good performance to get people's intent to buy on one of these platforms? Because on an Uber Eats, whether you're KFC or you're Luigi's single, meatball shop in Columbus, Ohio, there's a democratization there. What are you seeing in the lower funnel attention brand game? Because I'm seeing a lot more brand work in the lower funnel, not just 2 for 1 and things of that nature. Anything stand out for you when I go that narrow?
No, I mean, I think that is where the data really comes in, right? And that is where the algorithms can work really hard for you, right? You got to have the right offer and the right messaging, and you all kinds of A/B testing to figure out what's going to be more powerful. But that's where you'd really understand what is my audience that I'm going after, and let the data guide that audience. And then what we're finding is those channels also depend greatly on the audience. We might go one place to sell buckets of chicken to families because at 4:30 at night, I've realized I have no idea what the heck I'm going to feed my family for dinner tonight. So I'm going to serve them up a bucket promotion, and that's that audience. And that might do really well at 4:30 on a news channel, right? But then I also have my lunch crew, right? Of like people that are like, workers that need to go and grab some lunch, and they really just need a big abundant eat for lunch. And that might be better served up on Facebook because they're checking their news feed before they go on their lunch and figure, when they get to their lunch break and they are trying to decide where to go. So it really is, I think, audience specific and data driven.
The chicken sandwich wars. I mean, this has been a American phenomenon. Any cool thinking around that, or are there any media channels that have over-indexed in that game? And
Gary, we've just announced this month. We just announced our entry, call it.
Yes, I'm aware.
into those chicken sandwich wars, and so we're building those plans as we speak.
Understood.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is, I will tell you, like chicken sandwiches have never been more popular than they ever been ever.
It truly feels like we're in that moment of American consumer transition to the chicken sandwich becoming the staple more so than the burger.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. We're just seeing a big draw to comfort food. Like people, if you just think about what people are experiencing in their lives, like even before COVID, by the way, but then that just put it on steroids and everything else that has happened. Like there is something that happens to your brain. Like I think Ida Gardner said in her most recent book, like you can feel sad or depressed before you eat comfort food. You can feel sad or depressed after you eat comfort food. But when you're eating comfort food or that delicious fried chicken sandwich that we have like handcrafted, it's almost impossible in your brain to feel sad. Yep. So I think the chicken sandwich wars are really happening because of that, a true consumer need and want for comfort food. So even as we think about being useful, there is a use even for that comfort food.
I appreciate you. I hope you have a great year.
It's great to see you. Thanks, Gary. Take care. Have fun.